If you're in Seattle, and you need to buy or sell a home, we'll be right there for you. Because we're the realtors that you can trust. So go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
You're listening to The Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of the Ron and Don Show, and we are back live in Let's Show Up Studios.
What is up, Ron and Don Nation?
Hey, we're going to talk about dangerous travel, also competitive sauna. I didn't know there was competitive sauna. Did you?
This was wild.
I'm going to tell you about some sauna stuff I did in Ireland, and oh man, I am not good at it. Before we get to that, though, let's get to this. And we talked about this in our last podcast, but let's take you back to 1995, right? Mariners, by the way, have either, as we're sitting here right now recording, they've clinched a playoff spot. We don't know if they clinched the division, but we'll know tonight if the Astros lose or the Mariners win. And let's take you back to 95. You and I are doing a car business together. We're starting to work on our first radio show. And that first radio show is when the Sonics were still here in town. We're working at KJR AM. We're doing weekends. And then every once in a while we would call and they're like, hey, could you fill in for Mitch? Or could you fill in with Groz with Gas? Or whatever that. Dave Mahler, who's now the Great Afternoon host, was our board op back then. And the Sonics were on a run, right, with the Bulls. If it wasn't for the Bulls, I think we would have won some national championships.
We would have won.
But I think every NBA team probably says
we were
that.
in the finals. Then they had to go through Utah. Yeah. That was a really good
Some
spot.
great fights, though, with Karl Malone, the mailman, John Stockton.
Yeah.
Let's go down to Phoenix. Then,
if you ever want to
then George Karl and Charles
YouTube.
show up at a restaurant here late at night. They're partying their off, and then they're up the next day playing basketball. And I think they both still had hangovers, but they became best friends. And I think Phoenix kicked us into her that night. But anyway,
ever want some entertainment,
there was this feeling in town. The Seahawks weren't good. They're still playing in the Kingdome. The Sonics are on a roll, and now here come the 95 Mariners. And for people that don't know, this franchise in their history, they went to the playoffs in 95. They went to the playoffs in 2001. When I told my son last night, I said, it was over 20 years ago, right? 25 years ago that the Mariners have been to the playoffs. It's pretty extraordinary that now they go back. They hire Dan Wilson, who was the catcher for the 95 Mariners. They hire Edgar Martinez, who was the DH for the 95 Mariners. And they hire Jay Buhner, who now sits up in the box, who is the right fielder for the 95 Mariners. Ron, this to me, it feels, and I wasn't here in 2001. I think we'd moved away to do some stuff in radio. But now we're back. I don't know if it feels like 2001 because I wasn't here, but it does feel a little 1995 right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That was an incredible squad, and we all remember or you may have seen the video of Ken Griffey Jr. on the bottom of a dog pile when they clinched, and it was just an amazing eruption of people here in Seattle. Here's the thing that I always think about, though, is that, and we played the Colorado Rockies. We just had a homestand with the Rockies. The Rockies are a dumpster fire right now, but they've won a World Series. Florida Marlins, dumpster fire, have won multiple World Series. Yeah. This is the 50th, I think next year will be the 50th anniversary of the Seattle Mariners becoming a franchise. And the fact that they've never won a World Series, I think, is a testament to the ownership of this team over 50 years. It's been different ownership groups, but we're in an era now where you have to spend money to get an elite team, and we're in one of the wealthiest cities in the world, and so the money should be there. And I always like to say this now, with the new playoff format, just getting into the playoffs for Major League Baseball is like getting a C- in your English class in college. It's you shouldn't be celebrating just getting. You should celebrate.
Wait a
getting
minute.
into the
Our
playoffs.
last podcast, you and I were celebrating the hell out of the fact
We
that
are.
they're in the playoffs.
Let me rephrase
and
this.
now you're anti-celebration?
We shouldn't be satisfied and
There you
go,
go. That's
we've
better.
arrived. We made the playoffs a couple years in a row. Like that, we shouldn't be as a city going, great, we're C- students.
You know what?
If you want to go all the way, I remember the Lou Piniella years where he would basically come out to the media and be like, I can get you there. You got to give me some players at the trade deadline, and they never would.
The media would not give Lou Piniella players.
That's correct.
Okay.
The ownership. He'd say, I need a bat and I need a couple pitchers, and nobody would get signed.
And a baseball in a stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, in that team that you brought up, if ever there was a window, that was the window.
I disagree with what you're saying about Lou Piniella. When you go back and you look at the players that we had, Lou had everything. That team was better than this team.
I know. I'm just saying there were years though where there might be an injury, there might be a specific closer that there were role players that he needed, and the big teams do that.
We celebrate 95 because it's one of the only things we can celebrate. 95 and 2001, right?
Am I wrong about this though? We're getting a C-. We go, woo! I got a C-. I made the playoffs. I want to win a World Series.
At the game last night,
and I was excited for that.
You were so happy.
I am happy.
You're a
but I'm not
man.
satisfied.
Didn't take a glove to a baseball
I'm not
game to catch a ball for your girlfriend
with just making the playoffs.
I think satisfied is right. I think that's right. I do want to say though that there's a feeling in this town right now, and I think a lot of people that are here weren't here in '95 and they weren't here in 2001. What was interesting about what Jesse Cole, who runs Banana Ball, and they just filled the Mariners Stadium a couple times, and they were here the other night. I saw him in an interview, and he said, what's weird and interesting, and something that he said, we've never been in a stadium that loud. And he thanked the 12s. Do you think the 12s, is that the same fan base as the Seattle Mariners? Because the 12s play in a stadium that is meant for sound. The Seattle Mariners don't. And I think for him to say it, because they have packed out now
if the roof was
football and
closed.
baseball stadiums all over the country. And he said it's the loudest place that they have ever been.
Do you know if the roof was closed when they played there?
Nope. It was open, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an intimate stadium. I think there's a lot of crossover between 12s and baseball fans, but there's a hardcore baseball fandom that is just Mariner people. I would just like to see them make the run deep into the playoffs. So when you look at the elite teams in Major League Baseball now, the Dodgers, the Yankees, like the perennial favorites, I would say the Mets, but their payrolls.
The Bananas.
Off the charts. The Savannah Bananas. Yep. I don't even know what league they're in.
The Firefighters.
So, we have an interesting team that's cobbled together, but doing this thing of we're going to be on a shoestring budget and we're going to win the World Series. You haven't seen that in recent history.
Cool thing is I have a picture. I think my son was 4. You and I were playing celebrity baseball in that stadium.
Softball.
Yeah.
I was not able to hit a baseball.
In that stadium. And I remember I had my kid there, and I gave him my jersey, and he put my jersey on, and then he stepped up to the plate and barely hit the ball, and they kind of let him run around the bases, and we won the game. Our manager was actually Dan Wilson at the time. And Jay Buhner, I think, was your manager, right?
The guy, he always wore a hard helmet. Jay, he was a first baseman, Hall of Famer. I'll think of it.
The skipper?
No. Jay was on our team, but our manager was a first baseman. And
Jay Buhner was always the manager.
It was Paul Molitor or something like that.
He wasn't. Jay Buhner was always your manager.
Right,
it was always. I played for years, and then I invited you to come. I think I played that 5 years. It was always Dan against Jay.
Okay, then it was Jay then.
Yeah, so Jay was your guy. The cool thing about Dan, and he is the pride of Darrington, Illinois, close to where I grew up, is he is so humble. He is so kind. I have a few pictures with him and my son up on the mound. And the thing that I loved is Dan Wilson and Jay, because Randy Johnson recently came back to Seattle, and they recently welcomed back in the stadium. This year they're going to put him in the Ring of Honor. He didn't want to be in the Ring of Honor because he said, you know what? If you're putting Ichiro in, Ichiro goes in first. I don't deserve to go in when Ichiro's going in. So Randy's going to go in next year. But the first time that he came back was actually during one of those games. And I remember him coming into the dugout. He's a little socially awkward, right? I think it's one of the reasons why when you see him go out,
I think he's a lot socially awkward.
yeah, and I don't even know if he's on the spectrum. Maybe he is. I think we're all on the spectrum of something. And he kind of zeroed in on Gunnar, and he's like, you know what? I could play baseball with this kid because it's hard when you go to one of these things and you're a little socially awkward and you want to go around, and there's always all these media people there. Old Sonics are there, like Gary Payton's there, and I think it's weird because he's played in that stadium. But number one, I think he's a little intimidated. And number two, he
was not comfortable.
He didn't feel loved. He wasn't comfortable. So he's over there playing baseball with Gunnar. They're in the dugout. He's throwing the ball to him. And Randy is throwing the ball to Gunnar underhand. Again, he's 4 years old. And my son looked at him and just said, hey, that is not how you throw a baseball. And Randy's like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. So he picked it up. Gunnar did it as hard as he could. And he threw it at Randy Johnson's balls. Luckily, he didn't hit him. Randy was good with the glove. But I have a video of that somewhere as well. And I have to say, that team, they mean so much to this city. And I think this 2025 team reminds me a lot of the 1995 team. And I'm glad to see that we still have that connection with the manager, Dan Wilson, with Jay Buhner, with Edgar, with Randy, and with all the guys that have come back and supported this team. It's a beautiful thing to have that connection between 95 and 2025.
I think it's critical to get to win the division, get the home field advantage, not have to go through the wild card stuff. Like that would be huge for this team. And you never know what will happen in the postseason, but this would be World Series or bust. That's where I'm at right now.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Ron Upshaw has spoken, everybody. Let's talk more in 60 seconds.
If you have a friend that is ready to start their real estate journey, send them to ronanddonsitdown.com.
Hey, you guys, welcome back. Don't forget, if you need us, buy, invest, sell, hit us up at ronanddonsitdown.com. Having a problem with my chair here real quick. There we go. Stood up, and now I'm sitting down. How about that? Ron and Don sitting down. ronanddonsitdown.com. You love to travel. I like to travel. And do you like to dangerous travel, though? We just read a story about some dangerous travel. And I read another story the other day about how North Korea has created one of the most fabulous beaches in the world. And people are coming there from all over the world, but they don't allow a lot of people in at the time. They say when you go to some of the resorts in North Korea, because they're trying to find a way to create another economy and to invite people besides Dennis Rodman to come. And they said they'll have hundreds of people there on the beach, but the hotels are empty, the beach chairs are empty. And everywhere you go in North Korea, if you go there to travel, someone is assigned to you, and they're with you all the time.
Yeah, there's this interesting travel trend of hitting some of the not the marquee countries. I think North Korea is way down on that list. And I don't want to willy-nilly give advice to people if they're not seasoned travelers. I think if you've traveled extensively and you're not freaked out. Like I've known people who are like, oh my God, I could never figure out the subway system in X country.
I'm not talking about that.
I'm saying
I'm talking about going to North Korea. I'm talking about going to Iran. I'm talking about going to Iraq. And it's what's interesting if you go online, because I started reading threads of people that have gone to North Korea and places like Iran, and they loved it. And they're like, yeah, you can't sit here and just listen to politicians in the United States government. These are great places, great spaces, great people, great food, great culture.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, I think you need to be a really experienced traveler before you would go to one of those countries. I've never been to a country that is like that code red, level 4 on the U.S. travel website. Like, I've been to Nicaragua, which was a little bit sketchy. There was moments when I was in Cuba that didn't feel 100% safe. There were some times when I was in China that I didn't feel 100% safe. And in Mexico, there are pockets of Mexico where you've had drug lords roll some severed heads down the street. So,
But that could be New Orleans and Chicago as well. So.
It could be.
Yeah.
So I think that you have to sort of dip your toe into this. If you are a person that like your idea of international travel is, I'm going to do a 7-day cruise and hop off in a couple port cities, or I'm going to go with a travel company where everything is booked and I just get on the bus, I get off the bus, and we go see a couple castles, I would not recommend this at all. But if you like plan your own trips, you understand, travel on a pretty intimate level, then I think going, like, I'm glad I went to Nicaragua. It was not like luxury travel, but it was a very interesting trip. And right now, I think the U.S. is saying don't travel to Nicaragua. Going to Cuba, I loved my trip to Cuba, but it's not for the inexperienced traveler. Like, there were times where you had to be resourceful, you had to be confident to like navigate something where you don't have the amenities or the security, or you're looked at a little bit differently as an American.
Yeah, I have to say, when I went, you would think Iceland, right? Read online about Iceland. They don't even have a standing army. Nicest people in the world. We want you to come. Iceland is all built around tourism now. Tourism. And so I went to Iceland earlier in the year in February and March, right? Just by myself, and did a solo trip, had a ball. And then when my son and I went to Ireland, we had to go through Iceland. And we had like an 8 or 9 hour layover, and we were able to stay in one of their really cool lounges. The thing about staying in the cool lounge, though, meant that we had to go back through customs. And as we were going back, it was late at night, and he and I were the only ones in line going through. And they separated us, and then they took us into, they put him in a room and I in another room. And I have to say, while we were in Iceland, all this stuff was going down. The president was saying things that were making people around the world very, very uncomfortable. And so I'm sitting in this room, and I'm wondering why I'm in this room. And they're like, wow, it seems like you come to Iceland a lot. They didn't tell me why I was there, but then they opened up the beautiful suitcase, backpack that you helped me buy. I think you gifted that to me, didn't you?
I did.
I think you did.
It's a great travel pack.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there and I'm asking there. I'm like, I'm asking them. I'm like, where's my son? And they're like, well, he's okay. And I'm like, yeah, but where is he at and why am I here?
He's a minor.
There's 5 or 6 different people that come in the room, right? They make me take my shoes off, take my hat off, go through my pockets. And then what really makes you feel, and this isn't, I shouldn't use the word rape, but really more, what's the word that I want to use? Violated. Is they open up that suitcase. I'm weird, I think, because before I come back, I always go to a laundry service and have all my laundry done. So all my clothes are clean. And the reason I do that is because when I get home, before I leave, my cars are clean, my bills are paid, my house is immaculate. Like, I like to come home after a vacation to a very clean, and everything is straight away. And the same when I'm traveling back. I don't travel with dirty clothes, and maybe I'll need those clothes. Maybe something will happen, which did happen. And now I'm starting to wonder, I wonder if my flight's going to be late. And they go through everything in my suitcase. They pull it all out. Everything was neatly rolled. And I mean, they went through everything. And they wouldn't tell me. But I think they thought that maybe I was carrying drugs. And they're like, hey, do you take some medication? Do you do this, that? They do the thing where they test your hands. And then you hear the, and there was some kind of test that I failed. I think the reason why it went off, and I know that you had an issue when you were traveling. We talked about it before. I think it had to do with the laundry service, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm rolling all the laundry. I think it might have had something to do with that, because I was trying to read online, because I certainly wasn't carrying drugs in and out of Iceland. And maybe they saw that on my passport. The other thing is, though, there were all these custom people standing around with nothing to do. We had just gone sideways with Europe, and I felt like maybe they were picking on me a little bit. But the thing that I didn't like, I didn't mind that they were doing that with me and taking the shoes off and doing all that. But when they throw all your shiznit out on the table, and then in a really rude way, they tell you to pack it up and go stand out there, that really pissed me off. I'll never go back to Iceland because never go back.
Yeah, and in Iceland, I wouldn't consider a dangerous country. I'm sorry, that's only happened to me a couple times. Feels very violating to do that. But I think to the crux of this story, there are now some tour companies that do the vetting for you if this feels appealing to you, or like, I would like to go to the Middle East, or I would like to see Pakistan, or some countries. Maybe you have heritage there, or you're curious about it. That's where I would get a professional to help you. I would do a trip like that, but I think I'm a little more adventurous than the next guy.
Would you do that in a group though? Like I have a gal I used to date. She's a police officer. She would go on trips like that, but she would only go in a tour group.
If you're going to that type of country,
yeah.
Like there,
she said,
yeah.
especially in the Middle East, when you're a beautiful woman, which she is, and you're traveling with another beautiful woman, which I'm not, neither are you. She said you really have to be careful.
I agree.
Yeah, and you want to travel in a big group. I don't want to travel in a big group though.
No, the thing
I see people traveling in big groups, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm not on that bus. I'm glad I'm not on that boat. I am glad I'm not with that group. So.
I think the moral of the article though is when you are there in these fill in the blank on these countries. It could be Somalia. They said you're going to meet people, human beings, where you just go, wow. We have a lot more in common than we don't. They work hard. They're trying to make a better life for their family. They want their children to be educated and happy. They have good food. They're proud of where they come from. They're proud of their culture. That's the takeaway that you normally get. North Korea, I don't know about, but like these other countries, even though it's dangerous, or like, again, to parts of Mexico where like, there are drug lords here, and there is some danger involved. But you go there and the people that you meet and you interact with are usually 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, just beautiful, lovely people, very welcoming, and they are glad to see you.
Yeah. I did tell a little fib, which got me back on track pretty quick. They're like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh. I'm in radio, which is true. I think I said I have 40 million followers. Maybe I do. Probably I don't. More in a minute.
Thanks for being a part of the Ron and Don Nation. Subscribe to the Nation News at ronanddonsitdown.com. A behind-the-scenes look at everything Ron and Don.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. Don't forget, if you need us, Ron and Don. Sit down! .com. I find as my son is playing football, I've been volunteering with the team this year. Boy, it really gets your competitive juices going when you're around kids playing football, and it lights my fire. In fact, I've been listening to the best motivational speeches because I always send him a motivational speech on game day with a few notes. Do you want me to send you the motivational speech?
Sure. I'd love to see a motivational speech.
In fact, I was working on the motivational speech this morning, and then I think Coach is going to allow me to give a motivational speech to the kids as well.
Here we go.
Yep. Hey, 27! Yeah. You do the best you can tonight? Of course I am. Well, I don't need to do the best you can. I need you to do a little bit more. And a little bit more for number 7 and 6. Anyway.
You're going to yell at the kids?
Yes.
All right.
They love it. They love being yelled at. Because these are Queen Anne kids. They've been loved too much. They've been coddled too much. This is a violent game, Ron. And if you don't want to get out there and play 100-yard outdoor war, if you don't like that, you don't like American football. So anyway, but you gotta, sometimes I'm up here too much, so I'm bringing it down.
All right. Yeah. This is for JV football, right?
What? Hey, you're going to come out, you're going to watch the game tonight?
I'm going to try to make it to the game, yes.
You're going to give us your best. Wait.
I went to a game and the game was canceled, so I'm reserving the right to make a last minute decision.
I already told 62 you're going to be there.
We'll see.
Oh, he's all fired up. If he doesn't play well tonight, it's because Uncle Ron wasn't there.
All right, we'll see.
Just so you know. If my son has a bad game tonight, we're going to talk about it next week, and it's your fault. Because I went through, I picked out the motivational speech.
I thought your speech was supposed to get
I packed his spaghetti lunch. I wrote him a beautiful note.
If me attending the game
told him
can get
it, be violent and nasty tonight. Because it's a violent, nasty game, Ron.
If that gets him out of being in the zone, then he's in bad shape.
What's that?
If me being in the stands is the decider on whether
kids his age aren't in the zone.
All right.
That's so 1985.
All right.
They're locked in.
Locked in.
They're locked
If
in.
that locks him out, then we're in trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, are you locked in for competitive sauna? Because I guess this is a new sport I didn't know about.
No, it's
and
not.
A lot of times when you're done with football, the next thing you know, you're riding your bike across America or racing it like I was. I'm always looking for competition. Even when I go in the gym, I'm going to kick everybody's when I'm in the gym, which nobody's competing against me. But I am competing against that 72-year-old guy over there.
When I first saw this article,
doing squats.
I thought, with the rise of all this sauna culture with all the internet bros, I thought it was going to be one of two things. Either A, who can stay in the sauna at the hottest temperature, or B, who could stay in the sauna for the longest time. Yeah. So I was like, okay, that I can see that being a thing where, the Tim Ferrisses of the world, they go, I stayed at 180 degrees for 23 minutes or whatever.
And I'm still alive.
And so, but it's not that. And leave it to the Germans to do something really weird. That's why you got to travel. I want to go to Germany because they just do some weird stuff. For 100 years, they've had this thing where there are performances in a sauna. So let me set the stage of how this, from this, I've seen one article.
Hitler loved a sauna.
So they would build this big sauna with like a stadium seating in it. So there might be 75 to 100 people in the sauna, and they're all basically just unclothed with a towel. And they're like you normally would sauna. Mixed like genders.
Can we stop
though.
the show?
Sure.
Stop the show.
You don't sauna with shorts on?
Some people do, some people don't. Depends on the sauna.
What do you do?
If it's with 75 people, I would definitely have shorts on.
Well, you just said
some of these people in the thing just have a towel on.
I want a clarification. Have you ever saunaed completely naked with other people in the sauna?
I've steam roomed naked, but
well,
not
everyone
saunaed.
knows you steam naked.
I
You don't
think I've-
steam sauna, you don't go in naked on a sauna. Everyone knows you wear shorts.
I think I've saunaed, but I didn't take the towel off. I've been naked
thank
with a
God.
towel.
Oh.
So you have 75 to 100 people in their sauna outfit in the sauna. It's 175 degrees, and that's not the competition. The competition are performers that come in, and they do a routine in the sauna space that is a combination of endurance, acrobatics, and dance.
This is on Germany's Got Talent. This is how we found out about it.
And the Germans love this. It's been going on for like 100 years. And now they've created the World Championships. And so they wanted to have a North American representative. And so they launched a competition. It was in New York. And this sister duo from Las Vegas decided to enter. One of them is a Cirque du Soleil performer.
Oh, man.
The other sister works in Vegas as some sort of acrobat in a show. So they made a routine. They did it in their outfits in the sauna, and I guess they did really well, and they're going to go to Worlds now. And it's totally, I would like this other than the fact that I don't like to sit in the sauna for more than 10 minutes.
Are they tumbling and like hula hooping in there?
They said there was dance involved.
Yeah.
There was some thing they would do with like a cloth, like a white cloth, like juggling fabric art. I don't know.
So this has been going on 100 years. You're saying Hitler probably used to do competition sauna stuff.
I think Hitler probably did a lot of weird stuff.
High on methamphetamine.
Oh my God. Yeah. Lots of stuff in that.
Hey, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the Ron and Don Show. Don't forget, if you need us, just reach out.
Yeah, ronandonsitdown.com. If you are thinking about selling your property in 2026, let's sit down right now. We need some time to get that all together. So go to ronandonsitdown.com. You can email me directly, ron@ronandon.com.
Yeah. Till next time, thanks to Matt and Grace, my son Gunnar, number 62 in your programs tonight, number 1 in my heart, and I guess like number 6 in Ron's heart because he told him he was going to the game, and then tonight it says, Matt, what's your guess? You think Ron's gonna be there? Because he said last night I'm going, and now it seems like maybe something came up. I don't know.
I'd give it like a 63%.
Yeah. All right. That's good. Joe's going to be there. Scotty's going to be there. I'm going to be there. But Uncle Ron, disappointed.
Will they actually play a game?
Oh, yeah. They're playing Franklin tonight. Franklin.
Well, you told me they were playing the East Side Catholics, and so I showed up, and there's no game.
They played it Monday night. You weren't at that game either. So anyway, but thanks for coming to that game. That was a long drive out there, like an hour and a half. Anyway, if you need us, as Ron said, ronanddonsitdown.com. I think I was thanking everybody, including Charlie the dog. He's Ron, I'm Don. We're the executive producers and the superstars of the Ron and Don show. Until next time, you keep your head up and your shoulders back, and don't forget, you've been listening to the Ron and Don show. And I want the best you can and a little bit more. Only on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
You sure the kids love that?
They don't have a choice.
Thanks for listening to the Ron and Don Show. Please hit subscribe.